This is Umar Ahmed for IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast. With me is Hall of Fame promoter Frank Warren in Morecambe. I've interviewed you in Vegas, in Russia, in London, and now we're in Morecambe.
No, you're very wise to be here.
Well, Frank, yeah, obviously we're here to announce that October 9th, Fury v Wilder 3 is on BT Sport box office. So yeah, just talk to me about that.
Yeah, fights on the 9th. It's the trilogy. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we don't have any upsets and we can get the fight on and Tyson can fulfil his contractual commitments and hopefully again come through the fight and then we can move on to a bigger fight, I hope.
Well, we'll talk about that in a second, but yeah, that's done and dusted. Obviously, it has been for a while, October 9th. So he suffered a bit of a hard time recently, Tyson. You know, the birth of his daughter, firstly. Luckily, she's all good now. And obviously having COVID, it's just been a little bit of a tough period for Tyson.
Well, it has. I mean, first of all, regarding his daughter, you know, thank God that's more important than anything. You know, your children are more important than boxing or any job for that matter. And anyway, you know, so thankfully she's okay. And obviously he's got over the COVID, but he's quite paranoid about it at the moment because you can catch COVID even though you've had your jabs. You can still catch it. I know a few people who've had a couple of jabs and have been hospitalised as a result of it. So he's being ultra careful and a bit paranoid about it. That's the reason he's not in the States at the moment. He wants to stay here and go as late as possible. But he's in a good frame of mind now, and obviously we're about four weeks away roughly now.
Well, what is it today? September 8th?
Yeah, so it's roughly 4 weeks away. So he'll be fine-tuning his training and then get off to the States. Yeah,
obviously he's been a little bit quiet because there's been so much going on in his personal life and
yeah.
He's been knuckling down training. So people were kind of unsure what's going on. But Sugar Hill is here. We can confirm. People will see on camera today.
Yeah.
And Tyson looks in fine fettle. So 1 month ago, you believe the same thing happens to Deontay Wilder?
I just feel about the fight. I mean, you know, as far as Tyson's concerned, he got robbed in the first fight. I thought he won the fight, but they gave it as a draw. And the second fight, he just confirmed what I always believed he could do, which was to stop Deontay. And you look at, even though it's, I mean, you know, you look at what can happen next time. I can't see Deontay becoming a better boxer. Tyson outboxes him any time. And Tyson's got a good chin. He's been on the floor against him and got up twice, took his best shots, and he's a big puncher, Deontay, but so is Tyson. He stopped Deontay. My only concern is that he's been out of the ring by the time of October the 5th, about 20 months. It's a long period of inactivity for him. But having said that, you know, as long as mentally he's okay, then that's really what matters. I think the rest of it just falls into place. As you well know yourself, he's a training fanatic now, so his physical side of it's never going to be the issue. It's, if anything, it'd be the mental side of it. And mentally, he seems to be in a good place at the moment.
He does, absolutely. Deontay and Malik Scott have been very vocal in the build-up to this fight. Are you surprised with their confidence going into this fight?
Well, look, he's got to say something. He's got to be lifted. And if I was his trainer, I'd be trying to lift him. That's what he's got to do. The trainer's got to get him in a good place. I mean, he was in a bad place. He got devastatingly beaten by Tyson. So if you're the trainer, he's his new trainer, his new guy, you know, he's got to bring something to the table. And the first thing you've got to do is give him some confidence back, some confidence in his ability. Look, he's a dangerous puncher, and he throws punches from awkward angles, difficult angles. He's always a danger man. You know, you wouldn't, you know, fighting for a title, but you wouldn't want to be fighting him if it weren't for the title, sort of thing. He's one of those guys you want to avoid. You know, he could be behind for 12 rounds and in the last second knock somebody over. That's the type of guy he is. But I just think Tyson's got his measure.
Okay, well listen, we'll find out October 9th, live on BT Sport box office.
Live on BT Sports.
That's the one. Obviously, we just had a box office event on BT Sport. I haven't spoke to you since your time in Cleveland. How was Cleveland?
Yeah, it was an eye opener for me. I mean, as everybody constantly reminds me, I'm an old geezer behind the times and that. But I'm sitting in this show from 7 o'clock at night was full up. The venue was full, which you never get in any shows. That never happens. But it was full with a very young audience. And you look at the main event was. A boxer who had, I think, 2 fights against a guy who had never had a pro fight in an 8-rounder. You had 2 Brits on the bill, a Russian and 2 ladies fighting. And, you know, that tells you the drawing power of Paul, doesn't it? It tells you what this YouTube thing is. And you know, from my perspective, it's mission accomplished from what we were there for. And what we were there for was 2 things. One, to get Daniel Dubois his debut in the States, and it was a fantastic debut that he had, devastating performance.
It was.
And get Tommy Fury on the card, because obviously there's a lot of talk between, getting this fight on between the two guys. And
Really, I haven't heard about it.
yeah, well, there is, and we are talking at the moment, so hopefully something may happen. We'll see. There's a long way to go yet, but that's why we were there, and it was mission accomplished, as I say, from our end.
Okay, as you said, Daniel, a devastating performance. Brilliant way to make your US debut, especially as a heavyweight. Thoughts on Tommy's performance, Frank? Honestly.
I think he could have been far more authoritative. I think I like seeing his jab more and moving forward more. But he done what he had to do, and got rid of a fella who was pretty much of a survivor, wasn't he? That's what he was. But he did what he had to do. So hopefully they might be encouraged by that. Who knows? We'll see.
I can't believe I'm actually asking you this, but thoughts on Jake Paul's performance?
Look, I keep saying, anybody who gets in the ring, goes into a gym, trains and does all what they do, good luck to him, God bless him. He can earn money doing what he's doing, and he's not going to get hurt. That's fantastic. But I look at it what it is. I mean, they are what they are. They're guys who are novice fighters. Mm-hmm. He's a novice fighter. But
in terms of the actual setup, I mean, you were out there, so you'd have seen in terms of a boxing event. It's kind of, we know how it is. Do you think it was taken seriously out there by Jake and his team?
Oh, they had a fight. I mean, it's not like it was some fixed fight. I mean, they had a fight. There's no doubt about that. But what surprises me is the amount of people, who are obviously buying into the YouTube situation. It's, the fame factor, whatever you want to call it, notoriety. They're buying into it, and they're avid fans. I mean, there was really, the atmosphere in there was fantastic. It was a brilliant atmosphere, like being a big world title fight.
Well, the atmosphere in Birmingham was something special as well, especially when Nathan Heaney came out. Just the last one on that kind of whole Showtime stuff. So if the right opportunity presents itself for your fighters, for Queensberry fighters, to go out and box on Showtime, and Showtime want that, do you think there's going to be further deals made?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Daniel will be on there again.
So I'm guessing they like what they saw.
Oh, he did what he had to do. He was in with a guy who was was a big puncher. He was known out there in boxing circles, and destroyed him in the first round. I mean, he got clipped as well.
Big right hand.
He got caught. I mean, I was a little bit annoyed with that. He got caught, but then he started. I mean, as short as the fight was, then he started moving his head. But he's a devastating puncher, Daniel. If he catches you right, you're in trouble.
Yeah, and of course,
and a good finisher, obviously.
Definitely a good finisher, and we learnt with the WBA situation that they're scrapping their...
He's number one.
Yeah, they're scrapping their interim and regular titles.
Well, he's the mandatory challenger, and we expect him to challenge for that title now.
The winner of Joshua Usyk.
Yeah. No, to challenge.
Trevor Bryant, you mean?
Trevor Bryant.
Okay, so...
And then the winner of that will be the guy.
But that's a better situation, so you've kind of got a final eliminator between Trevor and Daniel.
Otherwise he'd be sitting on his backside for ages, so let's keep him busy. So we're waiting for the WBA to officially order it, and that's where we want to be. That's a great fight for him, here or in the States.
As I mentioned, you had a show in Birmingham as well. Obviously, Francis was looking after that. Yeah. Did you manage to catch any of that when you were in Cleveland?
I caught some of it. I've caught quite a bit of it up when I came back, and I looked at it. Yeah.
Okay. We'll start with Anthony Kakache, a very impressive performance against Leon Stock.
Well, Leon, I know he was trained very hard for the fight, and they fancied their chances. But Anthony, as you say, boxed extremely. I thought it was a really good performance, like a world-class performance. So he must be pleased with that. All he needs to do now is fight more regularly. He's had a lot of injuries, pull-outs of fights. If he fights regularly, he can get himself in a really good position. Could we take him to Belfast one day, headline there, perhaps? Yeah, why not? Why not? We've got a few guys that we could take over there and put on.
I'm talking about Belfast. Obviously, Carl Frampton's inked an exclusive deal with BT to do the punditry.
I'm delighted. He's a great pundit. He's he knows what he's talking about, and I'm delighted he's on board with us.
Okay, and the rest of the card: Aki, Menace Brown, and Sam Maxwell. Got to be honest, Frank. 99% of people thought that Akim won that fight. What can you say about the scorecard?
Well, it's a close fight. It was what it was. And he got his hand held up again. That's. I'm not complaining about that. That's what it was, and we move on. They both said that there's a potential rematch there, contractually. Yeah, but we're going to be a bit more livelier. Yeah, what did you think of the actual fight? Well, I just thought that I thought thought Sam was frustrated because it's more like not coming to fight, wasn't it? Like more of a survival job, Messer.
But we thought Akin would do that, no? Because he always fights like that.
Well, it was an ordered fight, wasn't it? It wasn't a fight. It was what it was. But so who knows next time if they do get it on? If they get it on next time, maybe it'll be more exciting.
And Anthony Yard with quite an easy night's job. Is that fair?
Yeah, I mean, he's a devastating puncher. If he catches you right, then you go. And he caught the guy right and took him out. He was on the show. It wasn't the main event, as we know, but he was on there, and that was good to get the cobwebs out and set up the fight against Leon.
Well,
sorry, Lyndon.
Lyndon against Lyndon. Yeah, I think we're going to talk about that on next week.
Yeah, absolutely.
About that situation, there'll be more news on that. That's just to put out to the fans about Yard and Arthur. Frank, also on the bill, Nathan Heaney. His fans just keep on getting louder and louder. Do you think we can see Nathan perhaps some step ups now?
Yeah, I mean, he's learning, he's doing well, and talk about a popular guy, because he's a nice guy. And he's a teacher, and he's well liked in his community, and the community get behind him. I think it's fantastic for him, and it's fantastic with boxing. It's obviously great for us because we're selling tickets, but it's a real, it's a winner for everybody. And and I want to do my best to try and get him in a position where he can fight for a big title.
At Stokes football ground.
That would be great if we could do that. I'm sure that'd be a dream for him. And we do it with most of the guys we get involved with. We deliver their dreams. So that's what we're trying to do for him.
Well, a bit of a weird situation. The next day, I think Sunday afternoon, everyone was going on Twitter, and Nathan Heaney and Florian Marker were having back and forth. I don't know where that came from.
I don't know where it is, but I'll have to catch up on that.
Well, I think essentially Florian's saying, let's do the fight. He'll come up to 160 pounds middleweight. Would you be interested in that?
I'll have to have a look at that. I haven't even given it a thought, to be honest.
Okay, right, moving on, Frank. Obviously, we learnt that Sonny Edwards is out of his fight this Saturday night. You still got your Friday show, though?
We're running the Friday show. It was too late we brought the Filipinos in. We got him in, we put him in quarantine for 14 days, so it's been a real expensive exercise, and the venue we paid for and everything else. And you can't really enjoy these shows now because of COVID and because of all the restrictions and whether somebody's been on a red list or an amber list or whatever. So it's very difficult, and because of the premium. So it's a loss, and it's a loss for the fighters who train very hard and are very frustrated, and the same for us. So we felt the best thing to do was to postpone it, so we'll look for another venue and try and get it on before the end of September. Okay,
and kind of Callum and Denzel looking to get on that same bill with Sonny?
Yeah, well, I don't know whether Sonny's going to be ready. I mean, it's not like he's busted his hand up, so he's not going to hit the bag. He can still do his road work or get on a bike. He's done his leg, his ankle, so I don't know how long he's going to be out, and whether he can't obviously not be able to put a lot of pressure on it. The photos that we've seen, it's quite swollen, so that's going to take a time to heal. So to see what happens and when we can schedule it.
Okay. Just out of interest as well, we haven't heard much from his brother Charlie Edwards. What's going on with Charlie, Frank? Have you spoken to him?
I haven't spoken to him for a while.
Okay. Well, hopefully we see him back in the ring soon.
I hope he gets in the ring soon.
Yeah. Frank, did you watch Josh Warrington the other night? Or only the 2 rounds?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Okay. Thoughts on the cut and everything?
Well, when your heads get, whether it's accidental or whatever, your head's doing what he was doing in the second round, that can happen, and that's what happened to me. He caught the guy, and he caught him with his head. It was a bad cut, and the referee had no choice to do what he did. It's a shame, and it'd be interesting to see where the fight was going, because it seemed to me the first round Josh looked all right. The second round, I think the fella was looked like he was going to give him a few problems.
From them 2 rounds, do you think that Lara potentially was going to get the win again?
Well, I can't say he's going to get the win because it was so early in the fight, but he didn't seem like he was too phased, did he, until he got cut.
Okay. Frank, we've learnt that obviously Sky made their announcements they're going to stay in boxing in a positive way. That must be good for obviously the likes of yourself, for Eddie and DAZN, and all the other promoters across the country, that there's more competition.
Well, I've always said I don't want to see any TV company walk away from boxing. The more boxing that's on TV, the better it is for the sport. And competition's healthy and it's good. So I'm delighted. And we'll see where it all goes with Sky in the next year. I mean, it's great that they're in there. Hopefully they continue to stay in there.
It's brilliant. We've got Sky, BT, DAZN, there's Fight Zone going on. There's loads.
Channel 5.
Channel 5. Yeah, Hennessy.
BoxNation.
Yeah. Is there any further developments with
You'll
BoxNation?
be hearing about that in due course. We got pushed back a little bit to what we were trying to do, but you'll be hearing in due course.
Okay, that's very interesting. We learned a few weeks ago, I haven't spoken to you since then actually, Joe Joyce inked the deal with yourself, an extension, a multi-fight deal. Just talk to me about that and getting Joe on board again.
Well, we're obviously delighted, and like Daniel Dubois, both of them are now ranked number 1 in the respective divisions. So once, hopefully Tyson comes through on the 9th, hopefully AJ does the business at the Spurs Grand, then we can get that fight on. So fingers crossed it all happens. And in the meantime, these guys will be jockeying and are in position to be there as challengers down the road for them.
Get it at the Emirates, eh?
Yeah, absolutely. Don't talk to me about Arsenal at the moment.
Right, I was just going to ask you about that. I bet you was glad the international break was on.
God, hell, I'll tell you something. What a joke.
Well, we can save that rant for another day if you want.
We don't want to run that. That's a long programme.
Okay, well listen, Frank, we look forward to all. Go on.
You must. One thing I will say, we're here today. This press conference, was arranged a couple of days ago, and I noticed yesterday Hearn put out about the show's being cancelled in Vegas and all this stuff, which is absolute bullshit about no tickets being sold and all this stuff. Again, he's rubbish. That show is on. The last time he said the show was, he heard it was going to be off and no tickets were sold. Let me tell you something. We've sold more tickets than they've done for DAZN subscriptions in September.
Okay, so
Frank, give it to
I'm giving it. Don't worry about that.
so do you know how many tickets we've done so far for October night?
598 tickets, to be precise.
Which is more than they got in DAZN subscriptions for the last.
Oh shit! There you go. Oh, by the way, I'm just cancelling my DAZN subscription because it's gone up from £2 to £7. I'm not having it.
$7.99.
Too much of a jump, Frank. If we went from £20 on pay-per-view to 75, it'd be no good, would it? And it's the same jump.
I agree.
It's about 95% increase, I think.
What did you think about £7.99 per month for DAZN?
What I think? Well, I was surprised they did it at $1.99, but who knows? I don't know what their model is. Their model is they're extremely lucky. They've got one of the wealthiest men in the country backing them. That's what they're
Didn't know
lucky.
you was backing on Frank.
What's his name again? You Russian fella, isn't he?
Selen Blavnik. Anyone who knows anything about what he is, he's an extremely wealthy guy and very successful man, successful businessman.
Okay, Frank Warren, thank you very much for coming to IFL TV again. Safe trip back to London, 4 hours.
Thank you.
And we'll catch up. Obviously, you've got the show on Friday night with Tyson's cousins on, the Frankums.
Yep.
And then we'll catch up on Monday. We'll have a sit down, all right?
Lovely. Look forward to it, mate.